Hey you guys, what's up? In today's video, I'm going to be trying out the brand new BH Cosmetics BFF collection. I have the eyeshadow palette and then the face palette to try out for you guys today. I did create two different eye looks with the eyeshadow palette, then of course I'm wearing the face palette on my cheeks right now. So I'm going to be showing you guys how I created both of these eye looks. I'm going to be showing you guys close-ups and swatches of both of these palettes, telling you guys pricing and everything like that. So I hope you guys are all excited about today's video. If you are, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And also I am doing a huge giveaway right now. I'll have it linked in my description box below if you guys want to enter that. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So here is the outer packaging of the BFF collab. I think the packaging is beautiful. I love the rose gold. So first up we have the BFF eyeshadow palette. This is a 20 color eyeshadow palette and the price is $24. Look how pretty this packaging is. I love it. And when you open it up, here are the beautiful shades. So here are all of the shades in the palette. I love the color story. I'm going to go ahead and start with this row of swatches. So first up we have the shade Scorpio, Pop Off, BFF, Mexicana, and Blessed. So here's the first row. This is a beautiful red and pink toned row of shadows, and these look really nice. They didn't swatch like the most pigmented, but usually BH Cosmetics has really good eyeshadows, so I'm sure they will be good on the eyes. Moving on to the next row. First up we have the shade Bon Appetit, Wine and Dine, Messy. Wow, that one's really pretty. OOTD. And Baby E. Oh my god, I love that shade. So here are the second row of eyeshadows. Moving on to the third row. First we have Bougie. Ooh, super pretty. I think I'm gonna butcher this if I try and say it, but this shade, that one's a little patchy, but it is a really pretty shade. 24. You're Sick. And Peach. So here are the third row. This row is full of beautiful blues, love it. And moving on to the final row. First we have Gleam. Oh my gosh, how pretty is that shade? Aloe and Else. Latte. Virgo. That one is stunning. And Malibu. So here is the final row of shadows. Next up we have the BFF Snatched Face Palette, and the price of this is $16. This is a 4-pan blush, highlight, and bronzer palette, and here are the shades in the palette. Honestly, the shades in here are so pretty. I wasn't going to pick this up originally, but then I saw it in stores and it's beautiful. So I'm first going to swatch the highlight called Sheen. Oh my gosh, how pretty is that? Next we have the blush called You're My Person. This feels like so buttery and smooth. That is a gorgeous blush shade. Latina. And Skinny Legend. So here are all of the shades from the face palette. Honestly, these all felt so buttery and soft. They are really pigmented, so I am worried that I'm going to have to be careful when applying to the face. All right, so I just have foundation and concealer on. We're going to first try out the face palette. So I'm thinking this shade might be too deep for my skin tone. I haven't decided if I want to use it yet, but I'm first going to take the shade Latina. And this is the shade that I'm going to use to kind of like bronze and contour. And I'm going in like really light-handed because these have a lot of pigmentation. Look how nicely that blends. Wow. I love BH Cosmetics powders, so I already know I'm gonna love this palette. Like their Belgian waffle palette, the Blushing and Bali palette, all of their face palettes are so good, so I knew I was gonna love this one. I can't believe I almost didn't buy it. I'm gonna add, oh, I picked up a little too much. I'm gonna add a little bit, to the forehead. That might have been too much, but that's okay. These shades are like so buttery and smooth. All right, so far so good. I really like that shade a lot. Now I'm gonna use the blush called You're My Person, and I'm just gonna, oh boy. Well, that's really pigmented. It's really pigmented, but that is a beautiful shade. And it blends out very, very easily. There is, I just want to mention it, a lot of like kickback in the pan with the blush shade when you dip into the powder. So just so you guys know, and yeah, you definitely have to be light-handed with these because they are very, very pigmented. So now I'm going to apply the highlighter. If you guys watched my most recent video where I talked about new makeup releases, I almost didn't buy this because I thought the highlighter would be too dark, but we're going to test it out today and see. I might be able to make it work, but who knows? It might just look like a streak on my face. Yeah, it definitely is a little bit deep from my skin tone. Like looking straight on, it kind of does look like a line, but it is a really pretty shade. It is a pinky highlight, which I'm not usually the biggest fan of, so it's not like my favorite type of highlight, but it is really pretty. So there is the highlighter, super pretty, very metallic. So now we're gonna try out the eyeshadow palette. I'm gonna do 2 different eye looks with this palette, and I'm gonna try and use as many shades as possible since we're only doing like 2 looks. But of course, the first thing I'm gonna do is prime my lids with my P. Louise base. I'm just gonna apply a little bit of this to each lid, and then I'm just gonna blend this out. So the first shade I'm going to go in with is the shade called Peach, and I'm just going to start by blending this all in my crease. This is just going to be kind of like a base color and a transition shade to kind of like blend all of the other shades into. Now I'm going to take the shade called BFF, and I'm just going to blend this a little bit lower, but still all throughout the crease. Now I'm going to take some of the shade called Scorpio, and I'm just going to start by applying like a little bit to the outer corner, and then I will slowly blend this into the crease. Once again, keeping this shade a little bit lower than the last shade. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of Wine and Dine, and I'm just going to use this to deepen up the outer corner. I feel like this deep shade is a little bit patchy, which is surprising since normally I really love BH Cosmetics eyeshadows, but I feel like just this one shade is a little patchy and I'm having a little bit of trouble blending it. So I went ahead and cut my crease off camera. Now we're gonna move on to some lid shades. So I'm first gonna pick up the shade right here, and I'm just gonna put this on the inner part of my lid. Look how beautiful this shade is. BH Cosmetics has really nice shimmery shades. I love their like metallic and shimmer formula, so good. Now I'm gonna take the shade called Gleam, and I'm just gonna put this like on the outer part of my lid. And now I'm going to take the shade called Pop Off, and I'm just going to apply this to the center of the lid and kind of blend those 2 other lid shades together with the middle shade. So here's where we're at so far. I love all of the shades so far except for the shade Wine and Dine, which is on my outer corner right here. I feel like it's very patchy and it's hard to get it to like stick to the lid, if that makes sense. Like every time I blend, it kind of like blends away and looks patchy, so kind of not a fan of that shade right now. So I'm not loving how this outer corner is looking right now, and normally I don't have that kind of issue, so not sure what's going on with this shade. So now we're going to move on to the lower lash line, and I'm going to try and use some different shades that I haven't used yet so we can use as many shades as possible. So first I'm going to take the shade called 24, and I'm just going to blend this all underneath my lower lash line. Once I've applied it, I'm going to kind of take this little blending brush and diffuse the edges. Now I'm going to take this shade right here, and I'm going to press this just up against the lower lash line very gently. Don't want it to go too low. Then I'm going to take that little brush again and just start to blend. Now I'm going to take the shade called Baby E. I have to use this shade. So I'm going to pop this in. Oh my gosh. In the inner corner. Wow, that is a lot more like blinding and metallic than I thought it was going to be. So here is the eyeshadow look so far. I'm going to go ahead and apply some mascara, and I will be right back. All right, so here is eye look number 1 complete. I am happy with how it turned out, except for the outer corners still kind of bother me a little bit, but besides that, I really like all of the other shades that I used, especially the like shimmer and metallic shades. They are beautiful. So now let's go ahead and start on the other eye. I'm going to count how many shades I used for this eye look and see how many we have left. So I used 10 shades on this eye. So we have 10 that I haven't used yet. I don't know that I'll be able to use 10 on this eye for the look that I'm thinking about doing, but we'll see how many we can use. So I'm first gonna pick out the shade called Latte. This is a really nice, like cool toned brown. It's a really pretty transition shade. I could definitely see myself using this like on an everyday basis. Like for a natural, like everyday eye, you could just pop this in the crease and be like good to go. So now I'm gonna take this shade, which is more of like a medium brown, and I'm just gonna lightly go in with the shade. So first on the outer corner and then blending into the crease, keeping the shade lower once again. We're gonna do like the same kind of like style eye look on this eye. If you guys have been following me for a while, you know that I love to do like this type of eye look when I'm trying out new palettes because it's like my go-to like signature kind of look. So I know whether the shadows are good or not because I do this kind of look all the time. So now I'm gonna take this very dark brown right here and I'm just gonna tap this on the outer corner. Hopefully this one is not patchy like this eye. So I went ahead and cut my crease off camera once again. I'm gonna take the shade right here called Bon Appetit because I think by the end of this I will have only not used like one shade. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this shade so we can say we've almost used all of them. And this is just like the perfect kind of like nude under the brow bone type shade. So I'm just gonna blend this right under the brow bone really quickly before we do the lid. So I'm first gonna take the shade called Virgo. You know, this could either turn out great or this could go terribly wrong. And I'm just gonna blend this all over the lid. Oh my gosh, this might have been a bad idea. But the shade is pretty. I love this shade. It is almost like a duochrome. I think it is actually a duochrome. It has like lighter blue like undertones to it and I love that. So now I'm gonna take the shade called Bougie and I'm gonna put this one on the rest of my lid. This one's a pretty dark blue, so I don't wanna go too far in with it. All right, so here's where we are at so far. Now we're gonna do the lower lash line. And I'm first gonna take the shade called Malibu. And I'm just going to blend this all underneath the lower lash line. And then once I've placed it down, I'm just taking this little blending brush and blending out the edges. Now I'm gonna take this matte dark blue and I'm just gonna press this right up against the lower lash line. So it is a little bit messy, so I'm just gonna pick up a little bit of Malibu and then blend it with this little blending brush again. And now I'm gonna take the shade You're Sick, and I'm just gonna pop this in the inner corner. Wow, I have been dying to use this shade. All right, you guys, so here are both eye looks complete. I am really happy with how they turned out. There was only one shade that I wasn't a big fan of, which you guys already know is the shade Wine and Dine because it didn't blend out very nicely on this side. But I pretty much used every shade in the palette except for this green shade right here. So I used 19 different shades. I think I prefer this eye. I wasn't sure how I was gonna feel about it because I don't think I've ever done like browns in the crease and then blue like on the lid, but I really like the way that it turned out, and the blue shimmery shades are beautiful. All of these shimmery shades in this palette are gorgeous. I love them all. They're probably like my favorite, and I really like how there's a good variation between mattes and shimmers. Like I feel like there's the perfect amount of mattes and the perfect amount of shimmer shades. So yeah, I really love the color story of this palette. I thought they all performed amazing on the eyes, minus the one shade. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Which eye do you guys like better? I really enjoy it, and I think it's definitely worth the price, and I can definitely see myself using this a lot more, like even on an everyday basis. Like there's good shades in here that you could use in the crease for like a neutral everyday eye look. So yeah, I feel like this is a really versatile palette. You can create neutral eye looks, you can create colorful eye looks. So yeah, I really like that. And then I actually really enjoyed the face palette as well. I wasn't sure if I was going to pick this up because I don't know, I didn't think that this highlighter would work for my skin tone, but it actually does. I am pretty fair and I can definitely make the highlighter work. It is a more like pink toned highlighter, which is not my favorite, but it is still really pretty. And then of course, all of these shades are very pigmented, blend out beautifully. Love the cheek products in here. So yeah, I really am happy that I picked up this collection because as you guys know, if you watched my last video, I wasn't sure if I was going to get it, but I'm really happy that I did go ahead and pick it up. So yeah, that is it for today's video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Also, make sure you check out that giveaway that I mentioned at the beginning of today's video. You definitely don't want to miss out on that. I'll have it linked in my description box below. And then also make sure you guys have your notifications turned on. That way you don't miss out on any of my future videos. All you have to do is click the bell next to the subscribe button, and then you'll receive a notification every time I upload a new video. And I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.